The ActiFi business value model. Again, this is not new news, but let's just think about creating business value from our systems. We have these fancy CRM systems, we have portfolio management systems, these systems that generate some great data. How do we generate real business value? Well, it starts with the data. If the data is junk, what it's telling us is junk. So we've got to have clean data. How do you get clean data? Real simple. You look at it and you determine if it's not clean, why isn't it? Who's responsible? How do we fix that? And again, clean data and really tight understanding among the team doesn't happen by accident. It's a process and it's a journey, and it's something that does require patience, persistence, and conviction on behalf of the leader, the person who's running these meetings. Let's go to the second step, reports and dashboards. So it's one thing to have data, okay? We've got clean data, we all agreed how we're gonna input it, where we're gonna input it, we're doing that consistently, thumbs up. What is it telling us? So can we actually see the data in the context of a report that's understandable? If I just have a long stream of numbers in an Excel spreadsheet, pretty hard to interpret. So I want to be able to see it in a way that makes sense. So that's step two. So okay, great, we've got clean data. We turn that data into a usable report. And know what? We emailed that report to people. Okay, have we created any value? A little bit of value. We've certainly created some awareness. What's the next step? Knowledge. Do we actually know what we're looking at? So if I give the exact same report to 3 people and I say, is this good or bad? Are we on or off track to our goals? Will I get 3 identical answers? Typically, no. I've done this experiment numerous times with firms, and what the principal assumes is a given, well, of course, you know, the data's there, the report has charts and it's got bars, it's got graphs, everyone's gonna interpret it in the context of our goals in the exact same way I am. Wrong, they're not. If you don't actually have the discussion and talk about, hey, the number's 42, the target is 60, that's off track. Versus the number's 42. Well, is 42 good? Is 42 bad? Who the heck knows what 42 is? So if you don't define, if you don't have the knowledge among the team as to what these reports are telling us relative to whether we're on or off track to our goals, again, we're creating limited business value. Okay, great. Got clean data, got it in a usable format. We've actually discussed it in the context of our goals. We're on the same page as to whether we're on or off track. Come into a situation where we're clearly off track. We all are in uniform agreement. 42 against a target of 60 is bad. We're not happy. This is not what we're looking for. What do we do? And that's where the wisdom comes in, is knowing that you're off track is great, but if you have no clue what to do about it, how much value have you created? And that's where I think as leaders, we don't do enough to dialogue about, well, what are some of the options? What activities, what things that we do control are most likely to impact this number? So again, if we're off track in terms of, in our advisor example, of financial planning clients adopting and taking us up on our comprehensive financial planning services, how many client discovery meetings did we have? How many clients did we actually discuss it with? Well, we had 2 client meetings last week. Okay, how'd we do? Well, one of them signed up. Well, that's pretty good. But 2 is probably an inadequate number. The wisdom is, hey, what if we had 4? Do you think we could double the number of folks? Again, this stuff sounds simple, but does hard. It does require discipline and consistency to execute. So now we've got the data, we've got the reports, we understand the context, we've agreed. Next step, John, you're gonna schedule 4 meetings next week. Do you know which clients you're gonna call? Nope. All right, let's pull up the client list, let's rank order them, let's discuss it. We actually have a dialogue. We get clear between John and an advisor, Fred, did we or did we not execute? And that's where the bulk of the business value comes from. The bulk of the business value, the vast majority, comes from executing on that action, that there was 100% causality. We looked at the report, we saw we were off track, we had a strategic discussion, we said, hey, we've got to schedule more of these meetings. Our clients are willing to meet with us. We scheduled 2 last week. What if we scheduled 4? We agreed on 4. We went even further, and this is what's shocking, is sometimes, you'd think something as simple as we'll schedule 4 meetings, that people are clear. But then if you ask the next question, okay, well, it might take you 15 calls to schedule 4 meetings. Who are you going to call in what order? And people look at you with glazed over eyes, like, well, what do you mean? I mean, literally, who are you going to call? Who's call number 1? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Well, let's pull up our client list. And you literally pull up the report and say, what are we going to sort by? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Well, let's discuss it. And again, I think there's a real lack of, bluntly, lack of leadership in terms of helping our employees and our team members understand this stuff. So, as you'll see on the bottom line, it requires a lot more leadership the further to the right you go. Because I can go into my CRM and I can put a little setting to say, hey, email this report to these 3 people every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, hit the save button, 100% of the time, every time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're gonna get the report. How much leadership does that require? Not a whole lot. Well, it's the set it and forget it. But the leadership required to go to that next level to say, well, okay, we've agreed that you've got to get 4 client meetings scheduled next week. Do you actually understand who you're going to call in what order? Because again, it may take you 15 calls to get there. That requires leadership, and the accountability and transparency that comes along with that is a big, big deal. And that's where you create business value. So let's just recap this for a minute. Again, we want to create business value from these platforms. 1, we've got to have clean data, garbage in, garbage out. 2, we've got to have reports and dashboards that are meaningful, that the humans that work with us can actually interpret and understand. 3, we've got to have the knowledge to look at those reports and dashboards in the context of things that we actually care about, and then we have to have the wisdom to know what the heck to do about it. And sometimes the answer is nothing, and sometimes the answer is something. And knowing that you actually have limited capacity, you can't always take action on everything. So you've got to be able to prioritize that, given that everyone's got a full-time day job here. So we're looking for discretionary effort toward achieving our goals. And lastly, and most importantly, is executing on that.